let's start our public hearing. Good evening. My name is Danny Wong. I am the Chief of the Bureau of Stationary Sources in the Division of Air Quality and Radiation Protection in the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. I will be the hearing officer tonight. On the hearing panel with me tonight is Joel Leon, the Section Chief of Operating Permits. This public hearing is being videotaped for the purposes of producing and transfer. The purpose of this hearing is to seek public comments on the following proposed departmental actions for a 5-year Title V operating permit renewal for Reworld Camden located at 600 Morgan Street, Camden, New Jersey, 08104. This includes update FC requirements in the compliance plan and accordance with New Jersey DEP policy, update applicable emission stack testing requirements in the emission unit U1 OS summary to reflect that stack tests must be performed on a 5-year basis from the previous stack test rather than the previous requirement that stack testing be performed based on the permit expiration. Add reportable long-term and short-term PM 2.5 emission limits for emission units U1, U9, and U10. The addition of the PM 2.5 emission for these emission units is reported for documentation purposes. Inclusion of environmental justice special conditions in Group GR2. There are no changes in permitted emissions in this renewal operating permit. The statement of basis details all proposed changes related to this project. You may obtain a copy from the reception desk over by the hall. The department is proposing to approve this permit. The basis for approval is the facility compliance with all applicable state and federal air pollution control laws and rules. These are summarized in the statement of basis and proposed permit conditions. If anyone demonstrates to the department that the facility would not comply with any of the applicable air pollution control laws and rules, the department's proposed decision to approve this permit or the requirements imposed in the draft permit may be changed. Copies of the statement of basis are available at the registration desk. I will be calling each person in the order they have registered to present their comments and questions. I wish to advise you that this is not an adversarial proceeding. Persons who speak will not be sworn into as witnesses, nor will cross-examination be permitted. In general, except for elected officials, people will be called to testify in the order they are registered. If you are an elected official who has registered to speak and wishes to speak at a specific time, please so advise our receptionist. A transcript of this proceeding will be prepared, and the members of this panel will be closely listening to your comments. Upon completion of the full technical and legal review of the questions and issues raised, the department will issue a formal response to comment document together with its final determination on the permit action under consideration. Where your concerns or comments are not clear to us, we may ask for clarification so that we can best consider your comments as we complete our review of this permit. We appreciate you taking the time to come here tonight. A copy of the response to comment document and the department's decision on this permit application will be sent to all commenters who provide the receptionist with contact information or send in written comments with contact information. To ensure that everyone who wants to speak is given an opportunity, we ask the speakers to limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Speakers who have prepared written comments are asked to leave a copy with the receptionist. Should you have insufficient time to present all of your concerns, or should you think of additional concerns after the close of this hearing, you may submit your comments in writing to the department until January 23rd, 2023. If you have extensive written comments, please summarize the keynotes orally and submit the details in writing by January 23rd, 2026. Anyone who wishes to speak should complete a registration card, which is available at this reception desk. When your name is called, please come forward, state your name, spell it for the benefit of the videographer. When the speaker has 1 minute left, a yellow card will be raised. And when the speaker's time is up, a red card will be raised. So on the list, the first speaker is David Steinberg.
Good evening. My name is David Steinberg. I'm a member of the Canada for Clean Air group. I'm also part of Sustainable Jersey in my town of Runnymede. I'm on the Green Team. And I also chair of a group called Towns Helping Towns, which provides for Tri-County Sustainability, which provides mentors to help towns become more sustainable. I've been involved with this incinerator for about 3 years or so. And I learned a lot of things, and some of which I'm not too happy with. And I'd like to share some of the things that I've learned with you tonight. A couple years ago, I got a copy of the fire responses, every fire response at EMR. Unfortunately, I was notified a little bit late to be able to get this updated, so my information only goes up to about 2022, I think it is. Anyway, I want to go over some of these things of concern that I have, because I think this is indicative of a pattern that is not a good pattern. Okay. I have found in my, according to the Camden Fire Department, their incident list, I have found that there were at least three radiation responses, and I'm really very curious about some of them. I'd like to just go into them with just a little bit of detail, then I'm going to go on further a little bit longer. As far as radiation is concerned, I know there are probably procedures that the incinerator has to follow in order to be able to properly take care of things. But I got a couple questions on these things, and again, this is partly out of my ignorance of this particular aspect of this. But if there's radiation, and it's my understanding the truck has been refused, going back to, I believe it's Republic Services, what happens after that? Is there any police escort of something that has radiation? Because if there's an accident with a truck that has radiation, then first responders and other people might get exposed to this. That's a very dangerous thing, as far as I'm concerned. I would assume that you have all of the responses. However, just to make sure, I'm going to leave all my information with you, and you can do your own research on this, including getting some of the latest things updated as well. So then there's one incident, and some of these goes back quite a number of years, but it shows a pattern as far as I can see here. Back in '06, there was a 1,200-gallon tank that had a pipe leak, of which 450 gallons of sulfuric acid was spilled, and they did contain, this fire department contained all these things, including a couple of fires, but these are the ones that stand out as far as I'm concerned is. Why was there a 1,200-gallon container of sulfuric acid even doing it cocaine in the first place? And where did it come from? And where was it going? What happened to it after that? Again, the fire responses are not clear on that, because what they show is what they did to respond, and once they finished responded, then they go back to whatever they go back to. I don't know if DEP or the EPA has any record of this. I have the information, so you can easily check it. Then there was another incident which iodine was incinerated back in 2011, and were they incinerating medical waste? I don't know. Then there's another one, let's see which this one is. A couple radiation, and then there's a couple hazmat incidents, and also at the same time, there was a biological hazard as well. And again, I don't want to go into a lot of detail because my time is running a little on the short side, but these are the things that I have concerns about. Also, my notes here. I note in the Philadelphia Inquirer today, this has not to do with them, but EMR is another issue that you're aware of, that we're all aware of as well. It's my understanding that some legal proceedings against EMR, I learned that today as far as the Philadelphia Inquirer is concerned. My last comment is it possible to have the EPA or DEP create a zero waste plan? Because the counties don't seem to want to do that, but if something's done on a statewide basis, then I think that would be extremely, extremely helpful. So I'm going to give you my notes as far as the incidents and also the zero waste plan, which was adopted. There was one adopted recently by the Delaware County Commissioners.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, Kevin Barfield.
Good evening. Kevin Barfield, Executive Director of Camden for Clean Air. I have some questions for clarity. First is, do we have someone from Reworld here? Because I know in the past, when there's been hearings and permit hearings, we usually get some kind of presentation, giving us some idea of, more detail in reference to explaining the permit, what it's for, and even the process. I think part of that is what's missing tonight. I thank the DEP for hosting this meeting, but I still think that, just inviting people to come to a meeting and there's no clarity, because even in that process, there were actually 3 permits that was included in that one application. So tonight, it seems that we're only reviewing one application, which is the air permit. And the other application, one was basically a baghouse filter. It's one of the issues that we know and we're concerned about in the community is the co-pollutants, emissions that's being released from the stack house. And one of the things that we were sure of was the fact that Covanta at the time, which they rebranded themselves as Reworld, was going to upgrade their emission system, regardless of what the status of the permit was. So I think even moving forward, the clarity for the community needs to be, where are we at in the process? Because even with this permit, I think that they still have an outstanding permit for the liquid waste nitrogen, which also is going to interfere with the facility. So there's still some open questions to even to even give Reworld an operation permit now, when you still have other projects that they're going to be working on that is going to have an impact on air quality or air emission when it comes to that facility. So I think that we need more clarification on what's going on with Reworld. What are their plans on the baghouse filter? Even when you talk about basic operation, I see that you start to mention some things in reference to maintenance requirement, I know you said that the DEP is making their decision, but based on what? Because I think still some of the questions that the community wants to know, and especially knowing that the facility has passed its basically lifespan traditionally in incinerators, 30-plus years, you know, what's happening with the maintenance of the building, the facility? So I don't know, again, like how we can resolve that tonight, but I think for me, and I know that from the community's perspective, that the concern is still the type of pollutants, the toxic pollutants that are released from that facility. And to go ahead and just say we want to give them a permit, operation permit, for air, you know, for air, is kind of like, I think we're missing the point. We're kind of like writing a check, writing a blank check to Reworld without making sure that there's the necessary safeguard that's going to protect us for the type of pollutants that could possibly, not only that's already taking place, but there will be taking place once they start refitting that facility. So I just want to kind of bring that to the attention of this body, and I still want to know if there's a Reworld person here that can kind of talk to us about, like, what is the status of what's going on there? What? Because I think that's part of this process of us being able to ask the right question. You know, I understand what the permit is saying, but it still doesn't really ask the questions that most of the community is going to be asking when it comes to some of the things that, again, you have an application that has 3 permits. And we're only talking about 1 permit tonight, which is the most important part, is air quality. So hopefully you can answer that question tonight, and, or moving forward before you guys, you know, finally make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mike Ewalt.
Hello, my name is Mike Ewald. I'm the founder and director of Energy Justice Network, a national group based in Philadelphia, working particularly to oppose the trash incineration industry across the country. I've been dealing with this company, Cavanta, now called Reworld, in Florida and Hawaii and Oregon, where we got the last incinerator in the state shut down, and many other states across the country. I'm very familiar with what they're up to. And this is a 35-year-old facility. The average age of the 54 incinerators for trash in this country that have closed down since the turn of the century was 26 when they closed down. Rarely do the incinerators make it past their 40th birthday, and yet we're looking at a proposal to basically extend the life of this plant. And I say that because this baghouse proposal is not about them committing to the right thing for an environmental justice community, like they tried to make it one of the 5 models in the country that they brag about when they sell themselves to other communities. It's not about that, we know that, because they could have installed this years ago. They could have installed this 5 years ago when they came to Camden and said, we want to be the power source for a microgrid. And we worked with folks in the local community, and we ultimately stopped that in a 10-month battle. And in the course of that, they said, give us the microgrid and we'll give you the baghouse. And they even said, at one point they said they're tied together, but at a different time they said they're not. We're committed to doing the baghouse anyway. Well, it turned out that they were lying, and that didn't end up being the case. Now, as of 2 to 3 years ago at this point, they said, give us liquid industrial waste that we want to truck in from multiple states, and we'll give you a baghouse. And when I was at the hearing before you, virtually, a couple years ago, these were tied together. These are part of 3 permits, as the previous speaker just described. And now we're seeing just baghouse. Well, did the liquid industrial waste get approved? Is it tied to this somehow? Because they're not about to plunk down money on a plant that's on its last legs unless it has an income stream to justify it. Because what they're doing, especially at their smaller plants around the country, is trying to pump as many dollars out of them as they can in the last years of life. That's why they're going to Bristol, Connecticut to burn medical waste. They're going to Tulsa to burn medical waste, and they're already doing it at 2 other plants and at the one that we got shut down in Oregon. These are at their smallest plants that they try to do this, and that's why they're coming here for liquid industrial waste too, because they know they can get away with it and make an extra amount per ton than taking trash. And for that, they'll offer the fig leaf of, oh, we'll get a bag house if you let us take this industrial waste. So for the environmental justice process that I believe this is part of, this cannot be looked at in isolation. This is not about bag house. Oh, that can only be good. Take a few pollutants out there that they should have been doing for 35 years already. This has to be tied to an analysis of what are the harms that come with importing and burning liquid industrial waste at the same time.
Thank you. Next, John Compton.
All right, John Compton, Executive Director of Center for Environmental Transformation. And really the important comments that we'd like to submit will be in writing. So we plan to submit more extensive comments in writing with a lot of detail and statistics. I just have some general comments. I was expecting a format similar to previous hearings. So maybe I'll just abbreviate this a little bit, but we recognize that at our organization that the waste industry is a regrettable but necessary part of our society's ability to function. Every modern community must decide how it will deal with the waste that it inevitably produces. And in our current system, we allow for-profit companies to serve in essential roles involved in waste processing and disposal. And the argument often being that companies following the profit motive will operate with an efficiency that governments cannot match. While this rationale against publicly owned services is often highly debatable, in this case, we do believe that it holds true. Although day to day it is providing a public service, we know the goal for Reworld is to run a very efficient and profitable company. And we believe that Reworld is following this rationale of business by seeking to comply with the law at a bare minimum level and with the smallest outlay of costly upgrades possible in order to keep their furnaces running. We believe that the Camden incinerator is an aging and outdated facility, as you've heard, and that Reworld's parent company, its current parent company, EQT, wants to justify its investment by ensuring that each facility it owns operates at a profit. We know that they want to tie any pollution reduction upgrades like a bag house to the approval for a permit to expand their business into another category of waste, the liquid waste. I have worked in the city now since 2017, and Reworld, formerly Covanta, has been dangling the possibility of a bag house in front of the community for the entire time. That's 9 years of hearing about bag houses. And we've heard a lot of excuses about delays, changes of plans, cost estimates, that projects that will begin in a day. But still, there is no bag house that has been installed. So they simply can't justify the investment into the facility without a guarantee of contracts that provide for long-term revenue and offset their costs. They are, after all, meeting their obligations under current law, and although they have over 400 permit violations in the past 20 years, we expect this behavior from Reworld because their goal is to make money, not spend it. This is not the fault of individuals employed at Reworld who are functioning under a system that demands they prioritize the health of their business above all else, including the health of the people who happen to live in the surrounding area. They simply will not voluntarily pay for upgrades to reduce their pollution levels or make any changes that impede their business goals. And since we know all of this about Reworld, really our comments in general here this evening are directed not at them, but at the DEP. Why must the installation of state-of-the-art equipment necessary for the interest of public health be tied to the business requirements of a giant international company? Why can't you simply require the baghouse, irrespective of their approval of their permit to process liquid waste? Will the EJ law and all of its good intentions actually result in any existing company being required to reduce its contribution to the unacceptable levels of pollution in an overburdened community? And will the DEP ever require continuous monitoring for pollutants instead of once annual testing? What regulatory authority ultimately will the DEP exercise with this permit by applying conditions that will serve the interests of Camden residents who had never asked for a business like this to be located in their community? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Luann Nguyen.
Hi, I've prepared some words for you and the community. What does it mean to sacrifice? It can mean working long hours to keep a family afloat or staying home to care for a sick loved one because dignity and safety matter more than convenience. Sacrifice is giving up of something of value now for something more important later. But some sacrifices aren't chosen. Some are forced upon entire communities. These are called sacrifice zones, places where residents bear the cost of pollution and injustice for the benefit of others. My name is Long Nguyen, and my family and I were refugees who came to Camden in 1990, along with many Southeast Asian families seeking safety and opportunity. Many eventually moved away, but some of us are still here, my parents and I, in Creamer Hill. My family sacrificed so that I could have a future. Now I owe it to them and to immigrants who cannot speak openly or freely to raise their voice against the harm that will continue if Reworld will be allowed to operate. So after moving away and coming back to Camden, I started understanding that what I used to accept was conditions of poverty were actually a result of policy decisions that exploited our vulnerable communities. So 2 years, I joined the EJ task force at CFET, a nonprofit in Waterfront South. And I learned that access to clean air, water, and healthy food shapes everything. Our sense of safety, our mental clarity, and our long-term health. So knowing that some residents in our city do not have access to this made it very difficult for me to stay silent. Impossible. A Waterfront South resident once shared with me how their Vietnamese neighbor offered persimmons from their tree. And that small act reminded me that despite all that this community faces, it thrives on care, connection, and joy. And you see it if you haven't been to Waterfront South. People are caring for their homes, their porches, one another. There's multiple nonprofits, a church, a theater, a school, a community garden. And so one thing is clear, that this community is not disposable and it's worthy of investing in. Yet 1 in 3 residents in Waterfront South lives with asthma, more than double the rate of the city average. And particulate matter worsens respiratory and heart disease, as you may know. And then other pollutants, dioxins and heavy metals, they accumulate in the body, causing long-term preventable harm. So these health burdens, they're not accidental. They're the result of deep inequality that this city and all of its partners must confront if it wants to move in the right direction. So approving or re-permitting the Reworld incinerator would lock in decades more of pollution in an already overburdened sacrifice zone. Camden is not a sacrifice zone, and it should not be treated as one. So we're asking for some fair treatment, not special treatment, not charity. So please listen to these community voices and consider the cumulative harm that would continue if Reworld is permitted. Please deny the permit under the Senate Bill 232 and the New Jersey Environmental Justice Act. Put residents' health, dignity, and environmental justice before corporate profit, and invest in real clean energy, not pollution. So today, you two and whoever else is with your team have a choice. Camden has sacrificed enough, and now it's your turn to choose for the greater good and protect our health, protect our future, and deny this permit, please.
Thank you. It is now 6:32, and it does not appear that there is anyone else who is interested in commenting on this hearing at this time. We will take a 15-minute break. And if there are still no further commenters, we will go back on record to formally close this hearing. Thank you. Valerie Baylor.
Hi, my name is Valerie Baylor, one of the residents in the city of Camden. I just wanted to make it known, since this is only on record for record purposes, not having a representative here of Reworld, which to me doesn't make much sense at all. The issues that we are addressing, as a resident coming to a meeting, it's kind of like, well, what am I here for? I understand there are certain particulars, but to not have a representation here, to not have things explained to a resident, it's one thing to give them a pamphlet where it has all of the documentation, but to be able to have someone explain things so that we can follow along is a big part of holding these community things. So I don't know what the expectation was being here, because if you're a resident and you get a chance to express yourself to where it has a purpose and a point, then you will probably have more people in the building. You know, you may have people that even if saying a word or two about being in the city of Camden and putting up with what you have, the EMR, the incinerator, the other plants and stuff that you have throughout the city in a certain mile radius that don't belong within a 4-mile radius of anybody that's residential that we have in this city, that's compacted to hold a meeting and have each person line behind me to say maybe one word. I sometimes wonder if that would actually make a difference, being a resident and the input that I could give, because things are so far-fetched where it's absolutely all about money. To have statistics where you can give air quality and control as far as the numbers and stuff that we have to take in this environment, whether it's the particles from incineration that consistently catch on fire and pollute our air, or if it's in just being able to take a deep breath in the city and not smell what you smell every time you walk out the door. So my purpose of just standing up is just because I have a voice and it's rarely heard. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I say something else to follow up, since no one else wants to speak? Okay. So, I think again,
Let me introduce you.
say again.
Let me introduce you again, so.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sure.
Kevin
Barfield.
Barfield.
Yeah, B-A-R-F-I-E-L-D. Camp for Clean Air. So I think, again, it's really confusing on this process. And you didn't really make no clarity or clarify the fact that we don't have a representative from Reworld here. And I think that as we sit here talking, and we reading the notice, and it talks about the public information session allows a direct communication between the applicant and the Overburgh community to help them with effective measures for reducing environmental stressors as part of the renewal process. How are you, like, basically going through this process without having the individual company here? That's like direct violation of the permit. So, I think, again, I hope you guys really take that in consideration. And even though I know, like, and again, my position also that I do sit on the DEP's Environmental Justice Advisory Council Committee, and one of the things that we have done, even with some of the community groups in here, was actually help try to put together the permit hearing community kind of like process. And not knowing that now you got companies that don't even have to show up, and they automatically getting renewed. Like, that's a total disrespect to the process and the law. So there's no way that I would say that you guys should be sitting here renewing something when these companies have total disrespect for the communities that they're in here helping pollute and contaminate the soil, the water, and the air. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there, since we sit here trying to figure out like what's going on here and what's going on with this new process, that we have rights under the environmental justice law, and we still don't have no rights.
Thank you. It is now 6:56, and it does not appear there that. Yes?
If there's no one from Reworld here, then why are we here?
I cannot respond directly to that. This is a public hearing. We are here the department is here to take in information, and as in my opening statement, we will evaluate all questions and comments and develop a
And you're
response.
taking this back to Reworld?
They will see the response to comment on.
I'm really trying to understand who Reworld is. They're the ones that's gonna be running the new incinerator, and they have applied for a new permit, right?
No, it's an existing, very old incinerator, but they want a permit to install a pollution control device that they've been missing for their whole 35 years.
Okay, but you said that usually these air quality systems are done after 40 years.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, and this
these
is
are
the
shut down.
35th year. I say it should be denied. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I've been a Camden resident. the smell. And you know what, my life is almost over, but I'm thinking of the younger people. And if they have to breathe in this stuff, and we don't know what it's doing to them.
Ma'am, would you like to come up to this podium and speak so we can record it and
Well,
have a formal response to it?
my name is Norma Sellers. I've been a Camden resident for the last 40 years, even though I'm not from here. But I have smelled the awful smell that comes from that incinerator, and I lived in Parkside for 35 years. Now, the last 3 years, maybe 5 years, I've lived in Benson Street, in that section where EMR and incinerator is, and, you know, it's not a really good smell. But if this is going into the lungs of our young people, I say no. They do not deserve to have another permit.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Should I come forward
Can you sign up with the, at the registration desk so I can get a name? It's just right there.
Some people can do it, other people don't.
Because in one place, I see this, I was saying about, I know it's the application of something else, it said something about, it not having to be like 5 years, like 5 years from permit process, 5 years.
Gina Reeves?
Rick?
Gina?
So I had a question, but, and maybe they don't want to answer. Is there anybody in this room that's for this permit application? I'm just curious. Okay, I just want to say that before. I also want to put you on blast. No, I'm joking, but if you were, but. Where does the New Jersey environmental justice law fit into all of this? Especially since it gives you pretty bit like explicit authority to deny this application. And if we were looking at, I guess, the tone of the community in terms of how they feel about the application, especially in this room, I know over the years you probably heard a lot of the issues and the negative impacts that Reworld has had, or formerly Covanta. And so I don't know if you're here to answer any questions, but is that being considered when it comes to this application, your explicit authority and discretion as to whether to move forward with it?
We cannot answer any questions at this hearing. We're here to take in the information.
So I just want to make sure I know the process. So you're taking out comments. This information will go back to Reworld along?
No,
Okay, how does it work? I'm sorry.
Go back, the public hearing is for the department to take in the information so we can respond to it and make necessary changes to the permit or any necessary action for the final action.
Okay.
And we There's no final action yet.
And there's no, not penalty or disqualification if the company itself doesn't show up to the public hearing. It doesn't matter, but is it taken into consideration?
They are not required to be here for a public hearing.
Is it taken into consideration though?
What is this saying?
Mike Ewald again, Energy Justice Network. I know you can't answer questions, although you did just answer some. I would like to ask just
I
about
was
the
trying to
process.
explain the process.
Yes, exactly. I would like to have your help to understand the process a little bit better. Because there were 3 permits that were having a hearing a couple, 2 or 3 years ago. Cavanta actually, Reworld, ran the hearing, which I thought was inappropriate, but I understand that's your process. But what happened to those other 2 permits? Right now, we're hearing about the bag house, and the other permits included the liquid industrial waste. Are you able to tell us what happened to those permits? Are they linked to this process? Like, how are they related, and where do they stand with this?
I don't have an answer for you because we were only prepared to talk about the renewal.
Okay, how and when, and from whom can we get answers to these questions?
When we respond to it in writing, and everyone that gives us their email address or mailing address will get that response to comment document to you.
Okay, how long does that usually take?
I don't know how, depends on how extensive how many comments and how extensive it is. It could be a month, it could be 2 months. It just depends on how many comments we get.
Okay, so this is something that should be able to be answered outside of that process as well. We should be able to get a quick, like within a week, answer on just where the permit stands from someone in the agency. Who do we need to talk to for that?
Because we are still in the public comment period. Once the public comment period ends, at least the AIR program can answer more of those questions. If it's another permit, you can ask, if it's a waste permit, you call up the waste program, you can ask them.
That's fair. Okay, and next question, and maybe you're gonna say this when you're officially closing up, but what's the comment deadline for written comments on this?
January 23rd, 2026.
Thank you.
It is now 7:05, and it does not appear that there is anyone else who is interested in commenting at this time. We will take a 15-minute break, and if there are still no further commenters, we'll go back on record to formally close this hearing. Thank you. Excuse me, everyone. It's 7:20, we start back up. We start back up, and I just call the next. Hi, can I have Lachey Harris? That's the next speaker.
Good evening. I hope you all are doing well. I would just like to go on record to speak of my disapproval of the permit for this entity, Reworld. As you all are pretty aware that we suffer extreme environmental injustice here in the city of Camden. So approving this just certainly further burdens our community and does not really alleviate us from a lot of the injustices that we are going through here. I hope that you all are genuinely taking everything that's being said into deep, deep consideration. We're not here just to be pessimistic about, Camden and things that, we just feel are not being done. We are genuinely being negatively impacted by these entities every single day of our lives. And you guys truly want to do the work and serve our community as you guys, I'm sure, set out to do when you guys got the job. We really, really hope we will fulfill that obligation with not approving this permit for Reworld and empowering our community with relief from these entities who are continuously polluting us. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this evening.
Thank you. Next speaker, Darnell Doughty.
Hi, my name is Darnell Dowdy. I'm a Camden native for 40 years. I'm also a product of Camden. I'm a product of my environment. I was born in an incubator. I was born premature. Also was born with asthma. I grew up in the juvenile system. Center for Family Services, South Jersey Behavior, and during that time, we all had asthma, or we all had bronchitis, or we all had TB or some weird shit like that. I really don't, shit, sometimes I'm just crazy. People say about the metal levels and all that stuff, it involves our body and shit. Right now I'm dealing with mental problems. I can't even explain what I'm going through right now. I'm 40 years old. I'm still dealing with this since I was born. I work for Public Works outside of the city, and I learned that everybody dump their trash here. Everybody. So, yeah, knock that smoke thing down or whatever. And plus, I heard that we're not even supposed to be smelling that. That's a violation, period. They're supposed to get charged with that. Are they supposed to get fined every time we even smell that air? I heard that too. So, yeah, I'm against it. 40 years against that shit. Like I said, I'm a product of my environment. I'm messed up. I moved back to the South Waterfront like about 5 to 6 years ago on 4th Street. And I raised 4 kids that's not mine, and shit, they all got asthma. And one of them, all of them probably need special needs, just like myself. All of a sudden now all these schools want to start doing this child study team shit. I'm not sure what that's about either. But they're starting to knock down things that knock down our old schools and trying to replace them so fast. They're trying to knock down our old good companies, and things is just not adding right. It's more than the air. Oh shit, we working on the water. And like you said, it's more permits that we done seen, and we just sitting here talking about one. Back to the kids. One of them had nosebleeds. My little brother had nosebleeds too. Weirdly, out of nowhere. Shit, my mom is weird just like me. And we actually from the long side. My family's from the long side area. My father's side is from the Renewal area. And when we moved to Camden, when they moved to Camden, it just went weird. Everything went left. Drugs got involved. Medication got involved. Shit, I'm still on medication, and I'm dealing with drugs and stuff now. I've been in the system. My mom put me in the system. She noticed something was wrong with me. So I was in the system probably like 11 years old, around older people than me. shit got dangerous, you know, so I had to fend for myself. Like I said, I'm a product of my environment. I don't know what else to say. I'm also a native of Camden, and I've been breathing this air. Shit, my mom been breathing this air. I was born in an incubator, like I said. Both of my parents is healthy as hell. They veterans. They veterans. They're military bound. My father died in dialysis. My mom is fighting, who knows, schizophrenia, bipolarness, anxiety, me too. And I'm sitting here going through these classes and I still don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. They keep on trying to program me and program me. I'm tired of the program shit. I'm just a product of my environment. I'm a Camden native. My name is Darnell Dowdy. I'm 40 years old tomorrow. Martin Luther King's birthday. I guess it's a special time. I'm not a speaker, but here I am.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Amira King.
Good evening. I'm not going to sit here and act like I understand any of the statistics or information that is being reported to us in this very robust stack of papers, but I feel like, if anything, Reworld has done a poor job at educating our community on their operations, on what they actually do here in this city. People only associate them with pollution. What are they here for other than, you know, the mark that I've seen them make in the community is, you know, showing up to a few events and passing out promotional products like water bottles and t-shirts, but we don't know what this company is actually doing. And then to see in the report that they are the #1 emitter of lead is scary for me. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what it is I'm talking about or, you know, understanding what I hear, but I did write something. After reading this permit and what you guys are allowing to continue, one question just popped in my mind. Are you the Department of Environmental Protection or the Department of Environmental Negotiation? Because you're negotiating the lives of so many people here in Camden who have generationally been dying due to pollution in the city. Darnell's story is the story of so many Camden residents, including myself. For 10 years prior to now, 10 years ago, I used to live in Sicklerville, New Jersey, had no health problems, no breathing problems, none whatsoever. In the 8 years that I've been living here in Camden now, I have suffered from asthma. Not only that, my children have suffered from lead poisoning. Okay, this is something that I've never experienced living outside of Camden, New Jersey. So to hear that the #1 lead emitter of lead is by Reworld is horrendous to me. It's just not a statistic, but it's personal. It's very personal because this type of stuff doesn't happen in other communities like Cherry Hill, Sicklerville, but it's like you guys negotiate bringing these companies to communities that are primarily people of color. It's like you're negotiating our lives because they really don't matter to you. Let me get back on topic. I mean, even with the EMR stuff, last year we had a child who was from Sicklerville, spent the night at his cousin's house and died from an asthma attack, was in a coma for a week and passed away because he was exposed to pollutants from the EMR fire. Nothing is being done about that. It took maybe a year or so after CFET's lawsuit for the state to actually sue these companies. And then you're talking about negotiating, bringing air filter pollution into this that's backwards. It's backwards as hell. It's like you're negotiating, okay, you can bring liquid pollution to the city and we'll get it, but you have to bring an air filter to your operation. I mean, come on. Even when you go to Walmart and purchase a vacuum cleaner, they come with air pollution. So why is it 10, 35 years down the line that we're just now getting an air pollution system placed at this facility. I feel like you guys negotiating, bringing, or making this about an air filter is pretty much putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound to Camden, because we're dying of cancer, we're dying of asthma, we're dying of Darnell mentioned behavioral issues. Those things are a result of lead poisoning. Lead poisoning and so many other metals that we're inhaling. We're dealing with some of the stress that you guys claim that you're alleviating is due to the operations and y'all not checking these companies, allowing them to come here. I even heard Mr. Steinberg say, what is the standard procedure for transmitting radiation through the city? Y'all don't even, where's the hearings for that? And then to hear that they're not even here, we're just giving our input on these issues. No one's really, receiving it or, saying, hey, we should hear more from the city or these people or educate them more on what's going on. So I'm just infuriated because my family is impacted by it. And just today I got a phone call from my job, someone in Mount Holly saying that her son has lead poisoning. What is it going to take for you guys to actually see that you're not protecting us? We're dying because you guys are putting Band-Aids over real problems.
Thank you. Next speaker, Tawanda Jones.
Good evening. My name is Tawanda Jones. I couldn't just sit here and not say anything, so I wanted to respect my elder as she said that we all shouldn't just sit here and not say anything. We're here for a reason. I'm here tonight because I'm tired of Camden being treated like an exhaust pipe in Camden, New Jersey. For decades, we have been told that the incinerator, now calling themselves Reworld, is a necessary evil. But today we are here to say that our health is not for negotiation. Right now, the facility is #1 industrial air polluter in Camden County. While they talk about upgrades, they are using those very upgrades as an excuse to bring even more toxic profit. They want to start burning liquid industrial waste, chemicals, sludge, and industrial leftovers right in our own backyards. They claim it's safe, but we know the reality. One in 3 of our children has asthma. Our families are breathing in lead, mercury, and fine particles matter even every single day. I'm here to send a clear message. We don't want a better way to burn trash. We want a path towards closing this facility for good. Our current waste contract was extended through 2026, and an 11th hour deal, but 2026 must be the end. We demand a transition to zero waste solutions that don't require poisoning our air to keep the lights on. Camden is a city of families, students, and workers, not a dumping ground for the region's garbage. It is time to put people before pollution. It is time to shut down the vault of toxins in Waterfront South. Let's protect our lungs, our children, and our future. Simply shut it down.
Thank you. Next speaker, Shelley Mason.
Hello. My name is Shelley Mason. I'm a 20-year-plus resident of Camden. I'm also the president of Cooper Grant Neighborhood Association, which is in the north side of Camden. I'm here to support my neighboring community in this effort to shut down the company that's trying to rebrand. And their non-appearance today pretty much tells the story of how they really feel, that they're going to do it anyway. So my question to you guys today is, who do you represent? Do you represent the rebranding, or do you represent the residents? And if you're not gonna answer that question, how do we go about representing ourselves? So I just want to go on the record to say that I do support my neighboring communities, and I vote no. Shut it down.
Thank you. It is now 7:37, and it does not appear that there is anyone else who is interested in commenting at this hearing. We will take a 5-minute break, and if there are still no further commenters, we'll go back on records to formally close this hearing.